everybody. I'm happy to be invited to be here in Madrid with you tonight. And please feel free to interrupt me and ask questions if you have anything to comment or ask me. I work as a curator for HIAP, Helsinki International Artist Program in Finland. And here on the website you see images from one of our studio complex, which is in an old cable factory. Many Finnish artists, they have studios, working spaces, there are dance companies, museum of photography. We have 3 residencies there for visual artists, and we have a gallery space at the cable factory as well. In a little while I will show you images from our other studio complex on an island of Suomenlinna, which is very different type of place. It's an old UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's an old fortress island. You'll take a ferry, it takes 15 minutes to go there. So we have 2 very different environments where we work. And if you practically want to find out information on the residency programs and open calls we have, please follow our website and you can subscribe to our newsletter here. You see that, for example, right now, you can apply for curatorial residencies in Helsinki. And that already implies that we don't only work with visual artists. We also work with curators, we work with critics, we work with researchers, we work in an interdisciplinary model. We also work with contemporary choreographers, sometimes with composers, sometimes with designers who work on the border of visual arts. We don't want to stick on any categories, because when we work with our residency program, we have always from 9 to 12 international and Finnish artists, thinkers staying there. So the main thing is to create a social context there, which is good working environment for artistic work, for thinking, and also we work very much network-based, which means that we have collaboration with different kind of local artistic communities, which varies from artisan spaces to Museum of Contemporary Art, Kiasma, to Department of World Politics if needed. So we very much start the process always from the individual process of each artist in resident, thinker in resident. And we call our institution as a contemporary art institution. We mainly work with residencies, with the beginning of the processes, but we develop our work from there. But please check our website if you are interested in coming to Helsinki at some point. So here you see it's quite different type of place. There's not yet snow, there's not ice yet, and I don't want to scare you off, but this is one of the realities. You take a ferry from the Central Market Square, and that's what you see first when you take a ferry. So it's very different kind of context than cable factory. We have 5 studios there. We have 4 guest rooms. Here you see our studios. So people, they work downstairs, they live upstairs. There's a great balcony facing the sea. This is how it looks normally in February and in March, so it's a very different environment than cable factory environment. And HIAP has grown a lot lately. As I said, that it's an artist-run organization. It started at the cable factory. We had 3 studios there and 1 person working there half-time. But 3 years ago, we got its premises back on Suomenlinna, which you saw. It's a former institute called NIFCA, Nordic Institute for Contemporary Art. I worked there as a curator for 5 years. It was closed down for political reasons 6 years ago when right-wing government took over in Denmark. I was chairperson for HIAP, and after lobbying for 3-4 years, we got premises back. And now we are restarting the programs, and that's the reason you see here the question of politics of programming contemporary art spaces. So we also all the time work with this question, actually what it means to be a contemporary art institution nowadays, what kind of function it plays, because I see that times they have changed a lot globally and in Europe also in the last 5 and 6 years. And I think that's the question each contemporary art institution should also pose, that what is actually politics of our programming and politics is of our work. What kind of strategies we choose, what's the purpose of coming to Helsinki and working there if you are based here in Spain. It's the main purpose is not only to be mobile and travel from one place to another. I think there must be more than that for each of us. As I said before, that it's compared to contemporary art museums, the emphasis of our work, it's very different. We focus on the beginning of the creative process and thinking process. We don't expect that artists or thinkers necessarily have a ready idea there. Why do they need to come if they already know that? But basically, we work also in collective manner. Every second week now when I go back, we have again something called peer-to-peer review for artists and curators. We work on the ideas people are developing. We invite local artists and thinkers to join. So it's a very much, I think that there are many spaces, there are many galleries, there are museums which are struggling to have enough resources to produce new art pieces, new thinking. So our emphasis is at the beginning. That's the reason we have a gallery space on Suomenlinna. But we don't program it all the time for exhibitions. We do one exhibition a year during summertime. Otherwise, we use it for workshops. We organize talks there. Once a month, there's something called HIAP talks. There is a curator, thinker, artist coming. Usually, even though you saw the road, there are 100 people who join. We have performances, we have events. And then there's this one idea, I think it's nothing new. But we also work as a mediator, as I said, between different kind of actors, sometimes starting from activist groups to artist groups to its departments in the university. Also, we work with these mainstream art institutions because I think that somehow all its precarious workers in certain situation need to come together right now. Just kind of also I think we need to collaborate with mainstream institutions and bring thinking, bring new initiatives. Kind of self-marginalization is not going to take any of us anywhere. We rather need new movements also. There hasn't been many movements in arts and so on. It's if we look at Europe recently. So we are much more working towards that. And our longer-term process we are developing right now, it's called Mobile Residency Academy. I'm not going details in that one, but there are different kind of its ideas developing. There's one statement we have used as a starting point in one of our workshops, but if you read it, okay, I can read it. It just makes a distinction also to contemporary art museums, how we work. All is culture, sports, food, etc. But at its best, contemporary art opens spaces and thus a possibility to question culture itself. It does not exist, as Lacan said about women. It does not exist and yet it's there. In other words, it insists but does not exist. It has no existence whatsoever because every attempt to put it in the context of culture, museums fails. culturalizes it in a way and puts it into virtualization of collecting and gathering. But as I said, there are many different kind of processes going on, and it really depends on the needs of every individual. We don't either force people to be part of peer-to-peer review if they don't want to, but in my experience, everybody wants to actually. That's also something that people have a need to reflect their working and thinking. I'm shortly presenting one project to give you an idea. It's of a longer term process that we have worked for a longer time, for example, with the issue of the Roma people and gypsies in Europe. And we have an artist in resident and cultural worker, Vladan Jeremic, who has worked in Helsinki now for almost 3 years, mapping the situation in Helsinki. You see here, it's basically his drawings. He had a group of people going to Roma community in Helsinki when it was evicted. And we guarantee that he could continue his work and come back. He was altogether 3 times, and he will come back again next spring. And just recently, we had a big seminar in our National Gallery called Atheneum about its housing agenda for Roma people and Gypsy people. And actually, the paper, it has been presented today in the Council of Europe. It's a very different type of a process, but you see here specialists who came together, who have been involved in this process, and that's something which will continue. It will continue both in Helsinki and it will continue on European level. So it just emphasizes we have also people working with drawing or photography. This is very special type of process, but this just happened recently and it will continue. That's the reason I'm giving you this particular example. It is difficult to go to details or variety of our way of working. But also in this case, even though we work project-based, I think I have used now funding from 3 different projects to fund his stay in Helsinki. That's the way you have to work nowadays. Is my time running out? Okay, I mean, it's kind of a, so actually it's basically, I'm here also, if you look at the website, there are 2 different roles I play also here. That I work as a curator in HIAP, but at the same time, I have my own practice, and I have had it years with a collective of curators and thinkers and artists. It's called Perpetuum mobile. And that also, it comes together in HIAP. I think it's also, as I have unfortunately learned, that institutions are also coming and going. But this is kind of more horizontal networks of people who still can kind of refresh certain buildings, places, initiatives. It's much more about the content than institutional framework. But if you want to check out, it's the work we do through this mobile we have, which we call Perpetual Mobile. And this mobile residency academy, it also has been developed through this network. It's of international, it's artists, curators, and researchers. We are not only based in Helsinki, so it's a vehicle and a platform also to think about different things. We have also worked through this vehicle with this gypsy issue. If you want to check out, we have worked 2-3 years with a process called the Arts Assembly. It was now part of Manifesta. And in the Arts Assembly now, the word assembly is around a lot. But then we started the process when the economical market collapsed. And it's a process to think about values in art. That's how it started. But you can check it out. I think I'll stop here. Something from the Arts Assembly. Something that's a seminar which is coming up, which is a collaboration came between HIAP and Perpetuum mobile and Chiasma. So if you are interested in this seminar, you will find more information on HIAP's website. But please ask me some questions if you have something to ask. Yes? It's a puzzle. It really is a puzzle. Our basic funding, which we get from the Finnish Ministry and Arts Council, is fifth of our budget. We get 100,000 euros, which is not much, and we get our premises. We don't have to pay rent for our premises. And we work, it's Paths Crossing program, which finance, for example, Vladan Jeremits's Roma and Gypsy process, and which finances this seminar, is funded by EU funds, but the same culture program which funds this Curators Network. We use Nordic funding, we use Asian funding, we use national funding. I work a lot with funding. Unfortunately, the situation is that the 2 first years I have mainly worked with kind of to create the funding structure. Now it's up and running. Our annual budget is from 500,000 to 600,000 euros. So that's the reason that I hope that now there are more possibilities. I'm a curator also to concentrate on thinking. But that's the reason I think it's a very good model to have residencies for curators, researchers at the same time, that even though our staff is not that big, we have people who also help us to develop our model. They help us also in creating its networks for funding. I think that is very much reality nowadays, that this kind of horizontal networks are the way also for your funding. And if you have strong enough concepts somehow, we have been luckily successful in getting basic funding. Of course, there are no guarantees. But I think that in this point we have that much kind of evidence that I hope that we might get a bit more money from the ministry. We use private foundations as well. Is there anything else? Anybody else like to ask something? Okay, thank you. And if you have any questions, I'm here, so ask me later on.